Fueled by Death guest.
I can't believe what an incredible thing the Salty Dog Cruise is. Where did the idea even come from? Was it yours? Well, you can say it was yours.
Well, years ago we had this idea that we wanted to do something like this, and then it kind of got on the back burner because it's like, we're still like I've always felt like a working class band kind of thing.
Totally.
And then it was like a cruise is like, really? I don't know. And then the opportunity came about to give it a go. And we've actually embraced it because it's almost like a weekend about forgetting about everything, really, you know what I mean?
I feel that way.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Being on the ocean, you're like, for 3 days or whatever the year, you can forget about what's going on in the world.
No cell service, no internet service.
It's like just, and it's a great blast. It
really is.
And for the bands as well, the bands really have a great time too, and the fans have just been like, we've people from everywhere: Germany, Norway,
Met so many
Belgium, England, Ireland. They're come from everywhere.
Yeah.
United States, of course, but it's, it's one of those things that like. Obviously, I'd never thought in a million years, just being a musician, that I would ever be in a position where I'm in a band playing on a cruise ship. It never appealed to me, first of all.
Yeah.
But it's a completely different experience.
God.
I've never been on a cruise before.
This is our first.
This is our first
Yeah.
cruise.
Yeah.
So it was like, but it's it's great. We actually are really beginning to embrace. Like last night after the show, we went back to our room, and our manager Corey came back, and we're sitting around talking about what we can do for next year and how we do this, and da 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 da. And we were actually excited about it. It was like it was really positive, and never thought in a million years, but there you go.
That's how I feel. Everybody's thinking about it. Like, what are we going to do next year? And I see this as something that just grows and grows. And we just walked into a show that was happening in our hallway right by our room.
Yeah.
I think we're going to see more of that. Everybody's decorating their door.
Yeah.
I guess the big question that hangs over my head is, how long do you plan on doing something like this? Because I could see this really developing into something really, really special.
The thing is that, my end of it would be basically what bands I like, but our crew, our management company, it's so much work that they all have to do.
Yeah.
I just get up and sing,
Yeah.
and maybe
Good point.
maybe say I'd love to have the buzzcocks on, or I'd love to, whatever, and it's a lot of work for those people. Our manager, we have a new management company, and 5B, and with our crew, they're working together. It takes a year to do this. It's a lot of work.
Yeah, logistically, it seems like it's big undertaking in general.
We've our neighbor from Ireland, from our village. He came over.
Really?
Yeah.
That's awesome.
His name is Doug. He's a great guy, and we love him. And he came, and he's no idea what's going on. He's like, walking around going, because he just knows us from the village.
Yeah. Right.
Oh, really?
There's more
Yeah.
people on this ship than there is on the village.
Wow.
That we live in, right?
Wow.
So he's like,
so cultured.
it's like, because we tell him about all this, he's no idea,
Right. Yeah,
none of the village really do, but it's like, it is a huge undertaking. And I'm only just a minuscule part of it. It's like, it's these guys here,
Yeah.
Kenny and our crew and our management company who take care of all this stuff.
They
I'm
must
just a figurehead. a pretty one at that, I know, but
for sure.
They must be having fun on this too, though.
well,
right?
look at them.
So it's like, I don't see them not doing this anytime soon. You think 10 years down the road you'll still be having this cruise?
I'll be probably dead 10 years from
Oh,
now.
baloney.
You kidding me?
Stop. You'll be fine.
This is the sound my liver makes every day. Hello.
It's been so incredible experiencing this. We're now one day through it. We're about to start pretty much.
Is that all it's been?
Yeah, tonight's the second night of craziness. I saw something last night that I never thought I thought only happened in movies. I never thought I'd ever experience. There was and we've said this before already. There was a mosh pit in the pool for you guys. What is that like when you're on stage seeing something like that?
It was brilliant.
It's incredible.
It's a new meaning to whirlpool.
Right, exactly.
It was really. I was standing there looking at it, and it was like wow, this is. I mean, it's just. I mean, this is a band, that no record company, no club really ever wanted to be involved with. We all met in Los Angeles, and for a couple of years we stood in the corner of a room on a stage that couldn't even fit the 7 of us, and now we have our own cruise. I mean, it's ridiculous,
Does it feel a little like vindicating, like like hard work's paying off now? You get to.
Well, that's exactly what it was. I mean, it was work. I mean, it was never going to be a privilege to fare for this band. We were always going, and that was my point about being a working class band. We were a working band, and that's why the cruise was such a. Really, I don't know, But it's what it is. I think is people, working class people like to blow out.
Yeah.
You know, and this is a great way of blowing out.
Yeah.
You know what I
Best
mean?
way to blow
It's
out.
just, what? Never thought we could do it, but here we are doing it. And, people. I mean, the main reason why I want to keep on doing it is because people actually want to come.
Yeah.
If that wasn't the case, well, then it wouldn't be happening. But I mean, people that talk to me about it, and like we're on the road somewhere, and we'll be in Germany or Austria or France or somewhere, and every now and then you'll see somebody holding up a banner to the countdown, like 200 more days left for the cruise.
Oh my god.
Do you know what I mean? And it's like, wow. And it's and like, from the very first year, there's a group of people, they're called the Shipmates.
Yep.
And they have their own like little
Community.
community.
They pulled us in.
And
Yeah.
It's like I never. It's just. I mean, life. As I said, life is. The climate in the world right now is very cold, and it's just nice for at least 3 days we can come out and have a bit of a laugh, and I mean, yeah. I mean, the only thing, as I said, is like our livers are the only thing that suffer in this cruise.
That's true.
My belly too. I've been
Yeah.
eating so much food
Yeah.
when it's there and so
Yeah.
available, and
Yeah.
it's really good.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
but as far as like a patron on the boat, which I feel like I am at this point, even though we're sponsoring the cruise, I mean, Jeff and I work so hard, and to come out on this boat for 3 days, it is like truly the first time in a long time I've felt relieved.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's amazing, and I bet everybody here, it's just like, and I think it's because it's an overall feeling. Everybody here feels that as well. So
Yeah.
it's an amazing atmosphere, and the one, and I keep on bringing this up, the one thing that really surprises me is the crew, and everybody working here. They're so accommodating. You know, I expected to be like hotel staff, always like telling you what not to do, but everybody here is that like. Nobody's told me not to do anything. Maybe they told me to put my shirt on before I got in the food line. But that's pretty much it. It's very, very surprising. How is that? Like, how is it working with a giant cruise like this to get something like this organized? Are they as accommodating on the logistical side as well?
Well, I mean, like the crew that bring us around, like they've been on the ship now for the 4 years that we've done it, and we're actually like when we see each other, we all hug each other.
Oh,
and,
wow.
And it's like, how's it going? And they love it. I mean, like last night, for example, I think it was like about our third song into the set, one of the security fell into the pool.
Oh my God.
And he gets up and he's high-fiving everybody, and it's just that you need to have that in something like this because, I wouldn't say this. There'll be too many like mosh pits going on in regular
Right.
cruises. I mean, I can't imagine a Disney cruise having a mosh pit in a pool, but who
knows?
Unless Mickey took his top off, I've no idea.
Yeah, right.
But no, I mean, it is an important thing, and they see the people. They know why the people are here. They're here to just have a good time.
Yeah.
And they kind of know how to wrangle that. It's like, okay,
passively.
yeah. I mean, the people that come, they don't mean any harm. It's just like, from traveling around the world, you wouldn't believe. I mean, there's some venues like won't let people dance.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
you've got
Been to
that
some
you've
of
got
those.
that type of thing, and then you've got like, but this is like, you're on a boat. It's a captive audience.
Yeah.
And you need to know how to deal with that. And I think, it's done very well. And
Yeah.
I think there's only one person gone to ship jail
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, that's
On this
that's a good-
cruise
that's a
or
good-
in the
Yes.
4 years?
Yes. Oh no, there was a couple last year as well,
Oh, no.
but this year there's been one I think so far.
That's not bad. Just one.
Yeah.
It's really not bad.
Yeah,
it
just-
really
That's
isn't.
not bad. Is it? No.
You do such a good job, like you alluded to it before with this cruise, really bringing in the bands that you guys want to bring in. You know,
Yeah.
like I mean, you guys are the head of this whole thing, and you want to make sure like the bands that you're friends with, the bands that you respect, the bands that you want on there, and just seeing all the bands on this cruise is incredible. The lineup
Yep.
is just it blows my mind. And then looking at the years past, is there anybody out there that you haven't gotten to come out on the boat yet that you want to try and get? That
Absolutely.
we could say out into the universe.
No,
to make it happen?
I don't really want to say it.
All right, all right.
But I really will. I mean, a lot. See, you've got to convince a lot of the bands that you either embrace it or you're trapped in your cabin. You know.
Right.
So it's like you either like for the first year, I was trapped, kind of. You know,
Yeah.
I was like I didn't know what to expect, and then as you see me now, it's
You
like
promoted to
you know what,
captain.
you just got to go for it. You know, it's 3 days of the year.
Yeah.
You just got to go for it. And I know a lot of people don't like to do that. Like people don't like to go out and, I mean,
You think it's being in the public that bothers
yeah,
them?
no, it's just that like the complete. It's like, do
Yeah.
you know what I mean? And it's like, but I mean, everybody's coming from all over the world for this, so you must be part of it too. You know, and it's like, and I've learned to embrace that. But you know, a lot of people are a bit, you know,
Anti-social.
wary about that. You know,
Yeah.
and I understand that. You know,
Yeah.
but no, I mean, there is a few people in the can for next year that we in the can. There you go.
In the can.
Yeah. there's a few people that we're looking at.
Awesome.
You know.
That's exciting.
So how's the coffee business going?
It's so good. It is so good lately.
Our crew
Yeah.
are absolutely obsessed.
Well, that's
With
awesome.
Death Wish.
Really?
That's
Yeah.
awesome.
Cool.
I mean, I'll tell you a funny story. I drink tea.
Yeah.
I don't
It's
drink
okay.
coffee.
That's okay.
But
I
where
like a good cup of tea.
it came from was when I was a kid. My mother took me to the doctor,
Okay.
and the doctor, for some reason, sussed out. He said, "Do you give this kid coffee?" And she goes, "Yeah." He goes, "What?" He goes, "He has about 4 or 5 cups a day." And I'm like 8 years of age.
Oh my god.
Oh my goodness.
So I mean, obviously I was bouncing off the walls
Yeah.
and doing whatever. But so since then I've curtailed my coffee intake. I'm a tea man now, but I do like a nice cup of coffee every now and then. And Death
Every now
Wish,
and
I mean, fair play to you guys. I mean, you're doing a great job.
Thank you
Thank
very
you.
much,
Thank
man.
you.
You know, it's so
It's
cool.
all about passion.
Yeah.
Yes.
And you know, working with bands like you, and we work with a lot of influencers like you guys. I mean, that gets us passionate about. I mean, how cool is it to work in the coffee business
Yeah.
and to be on a cruise like this with you
Yeah.
guys?
Yeah.
But we've had, 10 instances like this year so far, and it's like
Yeah.
I'm just some kid
great, isn't
from.
it?
I was working in a late night restaurant before this, so
Yeah.
this is like you're gonna get that passion because
Yeah.
It's super
this
passionate.
is incredible.
We believe in
Yeah.
our product, and we love hearing that people that are in an industry that are working hard, like you guys, like one of the hardest working bands I've ever known. Like.
Well, that means our crew work even harder.
And that's
though.
what I mean, and that's what I was
Yeah.
going to get at. Is like everybody involved in that is working so hard, and yet they enjoy this little product that we get to
Yeah.
create into the world, and make that in turn makes us more passionate for
Yeah.
it. And I'm sure that's the same way with you and the band, and the fans bringing the passion to you guys as well.
Absolutely.
What I want to ask it, Jeff.
You do it.
I'm gonna ask it.
Okay.
What fuels you? What keeps your passion going to keep on doing what you're doing, to playing night after night after night, and putting together giant things like this? What fuels you to do what you do?
I think it was never. We never started this band to be successful. It wasn't about that. It was like I'll tell you a funny story actually. Right, I was out with Angus Young from AC/DC one night
Okay.
in Hamburg,
Mm-hmm.
and I was playing with them at the time.
Oh, that's cool.
And we went out, and he wasn't drinking, and we were sitting at a bar, and he said to me, I don't care who goes on before AC/DC, the Beatles, the Rolling Stones, we're always going to be AC/DC. Now, he didn't mean that they were better than the Rolling Stones or AC/DC.
Right.
They were just going to be AC/DC.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't know what that meant. I didn't understand that. And the first time the 7 of us got together and played in a room, something happened in that room. And the first thing I thought of was Angus Young.
Wow.
Now I know what he's talking about. Doesn't matter how good you are, there's something there that you'll go on stage before or after whoever, and you don't care. You're always going to be that thing, you know.
Yeah.
And that's the one thing I think we have in Flogging Molly. I mean, we've done shows where one weekend, over a 3-day period, we headlined a punk rock festival in Blackpool. The next night we played a traditional festival in Belgium with the Chieftains and Richard Thompson. We were headlining it, and then the next day we're playing with Motorhead.
Oh my God.
So
Yeah.
that's that's what keeps me going. It's like being an androgynous band. It's like there's no borders. There's no there's nothing. It's just you are where you are, and to be able to do what we do is in itself what inspires me.
Do you like breaking the rules? Is that your thing?
I mean, absolutely. I mean,
They're meant to be broken.
I mean, whoever came up with the word rules, it's like, but I do stop at stop signs.
Well, nobody wants to die.
Oh man. Yeah, I can't thank you enough for taking time on this cruise to talk to us.
and having us on this. Seriously.
Yeah.
Well, you're more. I mean, as Kenny, the man there, he's more than responsible for all this, and and it's like having people. No matter what you do, it's always a struggle and it's always a fight. But hopefully the fight is worth fighting. And you guys are doing a great job. I mean, you've got a great product out there that you truly believe in. You're working your asses off to do, and we're just doing the same.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Cheers,
Match
brother.
made in heaven.
Absolutely.
Thank you so much.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Oh my God, guys, we're here. We're on the cruise, and we can't thank you enough.
You made it.
Yeah. For this is. I want to get into this. This is an incredible thing because it's not just about the bands that are here. It's not just about what's like going on. It's the absolute energy that you guys have created with this thing. I've never experienced anything like this. Can you guys talk about like what it is for you guys, like with something like this? Because it's so new. It's such a nuanced thing to think like, okay, I'm a band and I'm gonna get my fans and other bands on a cruise ship. Like, it seems crazy, but being here and experiencing it, it's the best thing I've ever experienced.
It looks crap on paper.
It seems weird on paper. I wouldn't say crap. It just seems weird. It seems like something like maybe that'll work, but like being in it, it's like I never want to leave. Like,
yeah, I was the same way. I was kind of like about right in between you guys. Like I was just, what are we doing? A cruise?
Yeah.
That is so odd. I just thought old people do it and they play shuffleboard and
Right.
like I didn't know about this metal when you guys were talking about it. I know Kid Rock had one. I have to admit I was oblivious to it, but I always tell a story. So I was just okay, whatever, and went along with it. And then we got here, first one. I get on the boat, beautiful sunny Miami. And I meet 2 people from Belgium right off the bat. And I was like,
What
hold
are
on
you
a
doing
second.
here?
Wait, Belgium?
You've come
You came
too
from
far.
Belgium? And then I went to the pool, and it was it. I was like,
Yeah.
I think this is going to be really good. And it it became its own thing. Like we were talking earlier about people just took to it they brought their instruments, they play in the hallway, they play in their rooms. Frank Turner was playing it by the jacuzzi. He would play in the hallway. Beans and Toast to go play in your room if you want them to. And then there's the Shipmates thing that started. And
It was
like,
largely
crazy.
accidental. Like, we put together a framework of let's get all the friends that we've had over the years that have toured with us.
Right.
Yeah.
And let's get them all on a boat, because a lot of our fans will do shows and they'll be like, oh, remember when you guys came here with that band or this band or whatever, like, oh, that was so great, or you can never have them back again. And it's hard to bring the same band out on tour with you too many times, because it just gets, like, there's so many bands, there's all this other stuff. So that was one of the ideas, was just to be able to have that feeling of getting all these bands that we loved over the years and have been friends with, to be able to hang out and do this And all of that other stuff, like, we didn't have anything to do with how the shipmates kind of came together or how the fans. Part of it is when your phone doesn't work in today's society, like that just is a game changer.
Right.
When you actually have to like look people in the eye and have a conversation rather than spitting a text out or whatever. That's like such a novel experience in today's world that, like I think that along with the fact that everybody here is of like mind. Everybody likes music. They want to hang out. They want to like enjoy all the experience of everything. And
they're all covered in tattoos.
Yeah. They don't spend a lot of time in the sun, and all of a sudden they're all out in the sun together, like suffering as one.
It's so true. I saw so many sunburns.
Yeah.
Oh, horrible ones.
crazy.
The ones where it's just white right here.
I saw
And
one
then
girl.
the burns.
The middle of the back is just a big red spot.
The back of her legs were just scorched.
Oh, yeah.
It's like, I'm so sorry. That must be
my
so
God.
rough. Have you guys gotten pretty toasted out here yet? Did you on the first cruise? Did you guys get burnt and then you learned from
I'm
there?
half Mexican, so
Okay.
I do all right.
You do all right. Yeah.
Yeah.
I like where I'm exposed, I tan, and where I'm not, I stay white. But
Right.
I'm lucky off that.
Yeah.
I mean, I live near where you guys do in New York, and so I was well aware of, that as soon as you step into this Miami sun,
yeah.
it's gonna scorch you if
Oh.
you're not like protecting yourself.
Yeah.
Well, but
But I think some people just like, especially the first day, they just go for it. They get on the boat and it's on.
Yeah.
And then you forget that I don't have sunblock on, and
It's true.
and then
For New Yorkers, isn't there like an innate built-in knowledge of the connection between Miami and Florida and New York? Like you
There
just
certainly
grow up
is.
knowing, like, oh yeah, we're gonna put sunscreen on.
That's what I grew up on.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Yeah.
Doesn't everybody from New York go to Miami in the winter?
It's not even that. In New Yorker, it's ingrained in your brain. If you walk outside your front door, you put sunscreen on because it's just like we're so afraid of the outside that it's just gonna kill us.
or
like,
the sun's shining.
Yeah, exactly.
The sun's not
Seriously.
usually shining. At
my
least in
gosh.
Rochester, it's
I feel
quite
like I
gray.
haven't seen the sun in 8 months.
Yeah.
You look like
Oh yeah,
it.
this
I
is a
feel
nice
so
this is a nice
good.
spat for
I
you
feel
guys.
so
Oh,
good
out
we
here.
left and it was snowing.
Yeah.
When we left.
I rest my
It was.
case.
Yeah.
I
so-
rest my case.
It's the
It
end
was
of
snow.
April and it's still fucking snowing. Oh my God. You guys seriously bring a sense of relief.
On a
Do
different
not
level.
only Yeah, seriously. It's ridiculous.
And you guys do, by the way. That's
Oh,
the word
yeah.
on the street.
Really?
What's in that coffee?
Oh.
Swear to God, I was just talking to someone.
Good.
It's drugs.
Not just saying it.
It's no secret
coffee
we
was
put drugs
great.
in it.
No, we're so happy to be able to. I mean, we love fueling guys like you, anyways. And when to be able to do something like this and be able to fuel your fans too, and be able to bring a product that we believe in so much onto something like this, have people really respond to it. It's just we can't be more thankful.
And they really need the fueling.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Of course.
Morning after?
Yeah.
Genius.
Seriously.
Perfect.
And to relate a little bit more, that whole Shipmates community group reminds me a lot of our Death Wish community group.
Yeah.
I mean, it's the same thing. It's
It's
that same
hardcore.
Facebook members community thing, but it's like for Death Wish. And when we decided to become sponsors of this, we immediately got sucked into the Shipmates.
Oh
And it's
yeah,
like-
they welcomed us with open arms.
Oh, great.
It was
and
amazing.
It's so cool to see everybody handing out swag and
Yeah,
like
it's incredible.
Really,
Yeah, that is a neat scenario. Like
It
they
is-
have their little, like their special private party. I mean, it's not private, but
Yeah.
they go into the front lounge and they all get together and they hand
Yeah.
out their swag and
Yeah.
exchange shit. And
Yeah.
And to build a little bit more upon that, it seems like something like this, everybody gets it a little bit more every year. Oh, next year we're gonna bring it to the next level. And the thing that kind of hangs over my head as far as like what I'm wondering, how long do you see something like this going? Because I think in like 5 or 10 years, could you imagine how much like the people who come on this year after year after year would build upon like a community like this, and it could be something huge.
it could be very frightening because you could imagine there's going to be like guys welding stuff onto the boat the night before.
Oh my gosh, yeah, right?
But how long do you see this going on?
As long as it's fun, man.
Yeah.
As long as these people have the energy to do it and are still into the community and into doing it, I don't see a reason to stop. I mean, the band could not be touring anymore, but this would be a reason to come out and still
Right,
go out
yeah.
and do it.
And
Yeah.
how fun is this for you guys to be a part of this as well? I mean, it's fun for the patrons, but
I'm with
technically you
him.
guys
This-
are working.
This was one of I was telling my wife that, I'm going to be working.
Yeah.
But I was. This is one of my top 10 greatest times of the year of my life. I have just an exceptionally great time. Everywhere you go, there's just positive vibes, and people are so friendly and pumped and having a great time. It's infectious.
Yes.
And it wears you down. And you gotta. And I'm not just pumping Death Wish coffee. I'm just saying, like, but it you know, you can hear by my voice that, you know, it's just a weekend. I don't think it could go beyond the 3 days it does.
No. God, oh
I
my
thought that's
God.
what you're getting at. Like,
Oh
I was
my
like,
God.
that was,
No, just the years of into the future.
I
Like,
think Bob said it perfectly. As long as these people want to keep coming and have fun, we can keep doing it.
That's exciting. And we've had you on the show already, so I want to bring this to you a little bit. I want to delve into you as a musician, because we love talking to musicians on this show, and I want to like ask you, where did that stem from? Did you start as a musician? Did you start playing music as a child? Like, were you influenced later in life? Is that where did the music bug kind of hit you?
I don't remember what. I think, you know, my mom used to play. We used to have just a record player, and my mom had 45s and records and stuff, and she used to play, you know, like Beatles records and Motown records and stuff. And my dad had all these Elvis singles, and so like I kind of grew up around a record player.
Okay.
And you know, it was just like a little corny job, but there was something about like hearing the guitar. Like I started playing when I was 7 or so. You know, like so. But I grew up in LA, so even though I always played music and I always loved doing it, it really was not a realistic thing to think.
I'm gonna do this.
Because you know, when I got into high school and started to see bands, you know, like they were, you know, I mean, they weren't crap, they just weren't what I was into. Like the metal scene was going on, like with the big hair and stuff, and I just wasn't into it. So it never occurred to me to be in a band at that point, even though I'd been playing most of, you know, my adult life or whatever. But it was just that thing where I would always play with friends. We would always have parties and put bands together for that kind of stuff. And it was just, you know, and then when I met Dave and these guys, it was just, at that point I had started playing in a couple of bands just for fun and playing like little crappy bars around town or whatever. And then when I met Dave and this thing happened, it was just fun. You know, we were doing it every Monday night. We were having a blast. It wasn't about trying to get a record out. It wasn't about trying to like get signed. It was just let it be what it was, and it, you know, like really naturally evolved from there.
How is the momentum? Like, when did you start to feel that pick up from like a Monday night thing to like, oh shit, I can do this for a living? Like, where did that pick up, and can you pinpoint it to a reason why, or is it just purely hard fucking work?
For me, I think it was when we did the Warped Tour. You know, like we did a bunch of tours. We did one we did like a bunch of stuff on the West Coast where we'd all take vacation days or whatever and take 4 days off and go up and down and do Seattle and, you know, San Francisco and we booked the Warped Tour through our label, and that summer we went out before the Warped Tour and did 6 weeks of residency on the East Coast, where we played New York every Monday and Wednesday, and we played Boston on Saturday, and we played Philly on Thursday or whatever.
Putting the work in.
Yeah, and just for 6 weeks went to the same bars every week and just built an audience out of nothing. And that was the first inkling for me that like, oh, we can do this. Like we started playing these places like the Continental in New York with like 4 people showing up at the beginning, and by the end of the 6 weeks the place was packed.
Wow.
And so that to me was the first, you know, we spent a long time building the audience on the West Coast, and to be able to do that in 6 weeks on the East Coast, that's when it started to feel to me like, oh, we do actually have something here. Like, this is an unusual scenario. And then we did the Warped Tour, and then from then on out, it was just kind of like, oh, yeah, there's no more day jobs.
Was that like the first Warped Tour? When did you guys
No,
pop into that?
what was it, 2003, I think? 2002?
It was pretty early
2000.
on, but
Wasn't it 2000?
oh wow,
Yeah,
that's-
2000, 2001, right, yeah.
When did that start? Like 97 or some shit?
Yeah,
Yeah,
96.
yeah.
So, you know, it's ironic you asked that question, and I don't know if Bob will remember this, but we were driving on the 101 going to Dave's house, me and Bob.
All right.
And I was driving, and I always remember this. It was like this. We were all talking. Bob, you had a decent. I think you had probably one of the better jobs out of people, 'cause we all had to quit our jobs now.
Oh, of course.
And to me, this was like this is a dream come true. I'm gonna go be a professional musician
Right.
and sleep on someone's floor. But I remember Bob. He had a pretty decent job, and I remember having that conversation with you. Like, dude, you gotta quit your job. That's not an easy
What were you doing at the time?
I used to run the service department for Roland, the instrument manufacturer.
Oh,
And so I was like the consumer liaison guy for the.
You did have a good job.
Yeah, it was a decent job, and you know, it was tangentially in the music business, so I felt like I wasn't selling myself out too badly.
Right.
Nice.
Was that tough to give up?
You know, it was because I'd been there for 5 or 6 years at that point,
yeah.
and but it, I mean, it was just one of those things where I was kind of like, you know, I got to take the shot. You know,
Did they take it well?
What's that?
Did they take it well?
Yeah,
you
I mean,
left,
no, because you know the thing is this is not an easy lifestyle, and this is
No.
hard. But you'll never talk to a guy on the street who works in an office that doesn't wish he was in this job. You know, so it's like all those guys there. This was the dream for everybody at that company. It was like, what, you're gonna go tour? Like, what?
Yeah.
So was everybody you were working with was probably somewhat in that position?
Yeah, and you
trying
know,
to,
like a lot of the people that I worked with had come down to see the band at wherever we were playing
Ah.
before, and so a lot of them were aware of what was going on, and they were like, "Oh yeah, their band's
and
great."
they knew you guys were kick-ass. So.
Yeah, so they were like, "Oh, you got to go," you know, like you got to do this.
Yeah.
And so, but it was, you know, there was a risk element of risk
Exactly.
involved.
Well, you don't have, yeah, obviously hindsight's 20/20, but
Of course.
it's like taking it's like bungee jumping almost. You're like, somebody's saying jump and you're like, whoa.
Well.
You're sure
but
this
that
thing
was-
works?
Right. Yeah.
yeah. I mean, when we come back, we're not going to have a job, and that
Yeah.
to at least, especially for me, I was in my 30s, and I just was like, wait, I'm not going to have a job. So
yeah.
when we get back, but it was that leap that for me, that was the time I knew that.
What were you doing
the
at the
momentum was
time?
going. I was painting a huge apartment complex that had 550 units in it. So I compare it to being like Sisyphus, same color, same
Just pushing
layout.
the rock.
Oh my
Ever
God.
push the rock
Yeah,
up every
just
day?
pushing that
Guess
rock.
what you're gonna do today? Paint a couple apartments, the same color, the same apartment, the same day after day.
So
that's
you were
what I did all
like,
day.
dang fucking God, get me the fuck out of here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Off white. I don't ever want to see it
Oh
again.
my gosh.
So now you're here on this cruise
Mhm.
with this amazing community. Like how vindicating is that with all the hard work that you guys have put in over the years? Do you guys like feel a sense of satisfaction when you're here in particular?
I think for me, it's very satisfying, mostly because, you know, it's great. The fans have a great reaction, and they're having a great time because we've put together a lineup and we've spent the time figuring it out or whatever. But when the other bands come up to you and they're like, I had no idea this was going to be so great. You know, like people are great. The shows are great. I'm getting to hang out with, you know, the other bands that we haven't seen in 5 years. And, you
Yeah.
know, like
Yeah.
that's really gratifying to me to like have bands that you wouldn't assume would enjoy anything like this come out and be like, there was a time in my life, man, I had such a great time. You know, like
Yeah.
Lars Fredriksson and Tim Armstrong last year did it, and they were like, oh, I had such a blast. Thank you guys so much. And it's like, these are
Don't
not
wanna do
guys
it
who you
again.
would imagine getting on a cruise ship and having a good time.
Well, that's why I think like you know, if you keep this up, like the word's gonna get out on the street, and giant bands are gonna be fighting to be on a cruise like this. They don't even know what they're in. You guys must get that over and over again, where you invite a band on, they have an amazing time, and they always have that you know.
The skepticism going in.
Yeah.
We're still in that phase. I believe it's. I don't know if the word's gotten out yet completely, but
Yeah.
I know we have his buddy Steve Soto. He's in the adolescence and punk rock karaoke, and he's kind of like. I remember with the Rancid thing that they
Yeah.
were calling him up like, dude, it's gonna be okay. Like,
Yeah, Steve's an ambassador.
Steve's
No,
like,
that's
Steve's
awesome.
like, you can have a great time. And like Bob said, Tim and Lars are leaving. They're like, we'll do this again. And Frank wasn't skeptical, but he really took to it, and you know, No Effects did it, and they were.
Yeah.
Fat Mike was super into it, and yeah, that's really vindicating and gratifying in and itself, as Bob was saying, and every year just showing up and like, this is not, you know, let's admit it, it's not an inexpensive thing to do.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It's and every year I have complete gratitude. You walk on and like, all these people paid all this money to do this, but they will have the time of their life. So I feel great about that.
Yeah.
And if you put all the music together and all the free booze and
the food and the
food,
accommodations and everything else.
I think
it's super worth it.
Seriously, if it's the one trip you're gonna take in a year, you know you're gonna have a good fucking time.
Yeah.
So you know it's not gonna be money wasted, and you're not wasting anybody else's time or money inviting them onto a trip like this. It's so cool.
And
so
yeah,
awesome.
you'll see bands you love, and you'll discover new bands that you've never heard of before.
Oh yeah, I already have.
And you can see them in a room on the deck of a fucking boat, and with like at most like 70 people sometimes.
With a
it's
glorious
insane.
sunset out.
Yeah,
there.
it's incredible.
And walk back to your room.
Yeah, and walk back to your room.
And call it a night if you want.
I said this to actually Dave earlier today. I experienced something that I've never seen before, and I have to bring it up again to you guys because it blew my mind last night. The pool mosh pit. Like, oh my gosh, guys! Like,
does that happen every year?
Like, does that happen? What is that like to be on stage and like witness that? That's so
honestly,
nuts.
I'm too short to see it over the crowd.
I have to admit, I'm just like, I hope nobody gets hurt. Like,
That's what I was thinking.
Don't drown.
Yeah. Because of the, there's some force against with the water. Like it's kind of a geriatric mosh pit. It's like everyone's kind of slowly trogging through it. So I think the danger just comes from morons like crowd surfing on the mosh pit in the pool.
Right.
But like so far, so good.
Moments like that are just like that. You can't experience that unless you're in something like this. You guys are creating that.
Yeah, nobody's putting a pool in the venue. And
No, not at all. It's incredible.
I think Jeff and I have talked about this so many times where we've seen so many like MTV Spring Break.
Oh yeah, the old beach house at MTV.
Anytime I've seen that as a kid, it was like, shit, I want to be there.
We are.
And now we're here. That's what this is. That's what
MTV
it's
Spring
like.
Break.
Fucking MTV Spring Break. It's just like it's insane.
It's incredible.
But better because it's like a culture.
One of the Warped Tour years we did, they had it at the MTV Beach House.
Oh my god!
And we played that. We played
So
that
cool.
stage
Was
in
that
front of the
nuts?
swimming pool. It was weird because it was kind of like it was a cut down version of the Warped Tour, so it wasn't like the sprawling mass. It was like the top 20 bands or something or 15 bands, and it was people were in the pool, like watching the show in the pool, and it was kind of cool and kind of because it is like you said, that thing that you just grew up watching, year after year.
It doesn't seem real.
Yeah,
it
did.
You experience it. You're like, oh my god, this really happened.
It still didn't seem real. Like it was still kind of like they just paid these people to be here. Like this is just strange.
Holy moly. I wanted to ask you too, musically, you said you started playing guitar when you were 7. When did you become multi-instrumental? Like when did you learn banjo and mandolin and like all that kind of stuff? Was that natural, like progression from that, or?
I played guitar and bass for a long time, and then I started to play upright bass, and then there wasn't like a lot of call for upright bass players unless I wanted to go full jazz, which was, I like jazz, but it would just never called to me. And being a guitar player in LA and not having the desire to just be like a, like pick sweep shredder, I just had to start looking for different things, so it was kind of, I just wanted to not be the dude who had to do that. And I would go to swap meets and see weird instruments, and I just started to buy weird things and learn to play them. And, like viola, I think was one of the first things. I had a cello, and kind of got into doing that, like broken down crappy instruments, and I just get them into working order. And then I found a mandolin and I bought it, and like every maybe 9 months I'd pick it up and try to like figure it out, and then get frustrated and throw it in the corner.
Yep.
And then when I met Dave, he was like, I was like, he had a mandolin player who got sent back to England with his old band, and I said, if you want, I can learn the songs and come up there. And his old band was breaking up. It was the band that was kind of together before this one, with this lineup was there. And he's like, yeah, that'd be great. So he gave me a tape, and I learned the songs. And I never ended up playing. Like I practiced with Bridget a couple of times, and the band broke up. But at the last show, he's like, I'm putting a new band together. I already have a mandolin player. He'd never heard me play a lick of mandolin, like not a note. And so it was just that made me like, okay, I got to figure this out. And then, there were a couple of like instantaneous, like revelations that I had over the course of a week of trying to figure that I'm like, oh, okay, I get this now. And there just hadn't been anything to really push me through that before. And, yeah, so it would just, and then the tenor banjo kind of like grew out of playing the mandolin, and like it just, I've had these things in my peripheral vision in the house for like years, and then it just became a point of, getting into that rather than playing guitar all the time.
It's kind of like you know how to drive a standard vehicle until you buy one and you're forced to drive it every day, and then it's like, oh shit, now I get it.
Yeah, and it was like, and because I was playing bass, it predominantly at that point, it was just I was coming already at things from a different mentality. So when I got the mandolin and the banjo, it was easy to not just try to adapt the guitar mentality to those things. So I don't know how to explain that, but it's just coming from a different part of your brain or whatever.
Yeah, like rhythmical.
Yeah,
Is that a word?
bridging the
Yeah.
melodic
Yeah.
and the rhythmic and playing bass playing is very much the same as what you're doing with a mandolin and a banjo.
Absolutely. That's the way I would think about it. So looking at it from like, okay, I only played it kind of when I felt like it and I was forced into playing mandolin and banjo, but now you've like helped design like signature instruments now, right? Mm-hmm. How do you get into something like that?
That's a whole
You
other
just
side.
I mean, well, that comes I think from touring. It's like Dennis too. He's like Frankensteined a ton of instruments. You just build things that do what you need them to do as best as they can, and the way we tour and play, like there's a lot of modification that goes into it, stuff that comes off the line.
Like if something's just a little bit uncomfortable and you're playing that fucking instrument every night, you're gonna want to make.
Well, and we're not
the
like
adjustment.
we're not like a finesse band that's up there like gently strumming, like we're just
Right.
beating the crap out of everything. So it's got to be able to handle that stuff. And my Fenders, they took a beating pretty well, and there were a couple of things that I needed reinforced a little bit, or like extra things I didn't need. And so it was kind of that thing where I was just always trimming the fat and just boistering the bass model with what I needed. And they came to me and they're like, well,
Is that how that worked? They came to you for
well,
that?
I had a relationship with them already, and it was the thing where if you play bluegrass, you play Gibson, but Fender is a bluegrass guy's not going to play a Fender, and so I'm playing mandolin in a way that those guys aren't playing it. And there's a handful of us that do that, and they're like, oh well. There's
might
fans
as
of
well
your
hit
guys'
that
band,
market,
like
yeah.
like you will be the Gibson, the Gibson mandolins for guys who beat the crap out of their instruments,
Right. That makes sense.
for rock and roll mandolin. And so so we just they said, you want to design us, tell us what you need, and it went really well. It was a great,
you feel like they did a good job with that?
yeah,
So,
they did a
so
great
you play
job.
that mandolin?
I still do, yeah.
That's awesome. And it fits. Have you had to make any customizations to that yet?
No, there was one modification that I had done to the original ones that I wanted done on these, but it ended up being difficult in production, and the wiring for the bridge, it's a piezo pickup in the bridge, so it just uses the vibration rather than magnetics, and it's routed through the body.
Right.
And every once in a while, I'll just take a wild swing at it, like windmilling or doing some inane, stupid thing, and it'll move the bridge just enough that it shears that cable.
Oh,
And then the
weird.
pickup's gone. And you got to pull it apart and peel everything and resolder it and then put it back together. And that's hard to do in the middle of a show. So I routed it through the F hole of the
Right.
mandolin, so that if I hit the bridge and it shifted, it would just move the cable and not like cut it in half.
And in a logistical mass production level, you just can't.
Yeah, you can't be
probably
tucking
achieve
things,
that.
yeah, through there.
That makes sense. That's cool.
That's awesome. Outside of this incredible experience we're having, which is the cruise, you guys are, and I say this all the time, one of the hardest working bands out there, have been able to, build something from nothing. And you've all talked about that before, where this was the band when you started out that nobody wanted to book, nobody wanted to put on the radio, nobody wanted to do that, and now you're touring the world, you're doing all that kind of stuff. Is there a place out there in the world that you love to return to? Again, outside of the cruise, because I'm sure coming here every year is great. But like, do you love touring a place different than here, like more so than another one? Is there a place that
There are definitely venues around the world.
Yeah.
Like the arena. There's the arena in Austria that's it's like an old meatpacking plant that became a punk squat in the 70s, and
that
then
sounds
like
awesome.
erupted into, and it's just like essentially a big grass field in front of what used to be the loading dock for this meatpacking plant.
Weird.
But there's just something magical about the place.
Sounds-
Red Rocks in
Sounds
Colorado.
like post-apocalyptical. Almost.
Yeah, it is very.
It looks it.
Yeah,
It's got these huge smokestacks and
All the buildings are painted black. You know,
it's
Wow,
That's
that's so
so
cool.
cool.
I
Yeah.
want to be there.
We
That's
played
so
a little
cool.
beach town in Brazil that's like one of the big surf beaches down there that's, you know, like you're in the jungle. You're staying at this little hotel in the jungle and playing this little club in the jungle. And and then you walk out and the beach is just this beautiful.
playing those European festivals is really we do it like every summer.
Yeah.
That's quite an amazing experience because the people are generally there, like I guess sort of like the festivals here, to just go check out music, and playing in front of 40 or 50,000 people is quite exhilarating.
Or
Yeah.
Woodstock, that Woodstock festival.
Or the Woodstock Festival.
We
in
did
Poland.
this festival in Poland. It's a free,
700,000 people.
it's a free festival, and they do it every year. The guy does like a Jerry Lewis telethon to like buy hospital equipment for, you know, like independent hospitals around Poland, and as his thank you to the people who donate money, he does this free concert in the middle of the forest in Poland, and 750,000 people
Wow.
a night, not like in total, like.
Yeah.
It is like it's like playing into the ocean. It's just like as far
Yeah.
as you can
Wow.
see, just people. It's nuts.
Took us a half hour to drive out and to drive in with the bus. It's just you're looking out the window and it's just
It's endless.
people everywhere, kids being born, and it's just like crazy.
gosh.
Oh my God.
Oh my gosh! And speaking of tours, I know you guys, or European tours at least, you guys just did that one. You wrapped up the one with Dropkick Murphys, which I know went swimmingly because you guys are now doing that in the States. Are you guys excited for that?
Oh, yeah.
That,
Absolutely.
that sounds exciting. I mean, especially for both your camps. We're very excited at Death Wish because we love both you guys as much as we can. And the question we get to, we've asked you this on the show, so
Okay.
feel free to answer it again if you'd like.
Okay.
But to you as well. Again, being such a hardworking band, going out there, touring the world, doing stuff like this, bringing this to your fans and all that stuff. What fuels you specifically to keep wanting to do this, to keep wanting to, you know, get out there and be a part of this?
Honestly, for me, part of it is the reaction that we get from the fans. You know, like that's gratifying.
Yeah.
And part of it is that, like, for me, if I'm going to be away from my family and I'm going to be spending this, it's got to be worth it. You know, like I got to make it count. I can't half-ass it and not make this the best thing that I can make it if I'm sacrificing being with, you know, the kids that I brought into the world and my wife who's like, you know, doing it all by herself when I'm gone. Like, that's a motivation for me every day to know that, like, if I'm not giving it my all and I'm not like out here just, you know, doing it to the best of my ability, then I'm really cheating myself and them out of something. So it's got to, like, it's constantly like a motivating factor for me to, like, do better, play better, be better, you know, like,
Awesome.
grow it.
Yeah, that's awesome. I know you guys are riding high and life is good. Life is good.
Life is good when you're out here.
Are you?
It's pretty crazy.
Are you working on anything new in the works, or just
No.
keep going with what you got, kind of thing? Okay.
We've been really trying to retool and just like strengthen the organization, you know, like from the back line all the way through to the front, and try to figure out how to make our shows the best, you know, like visually, musically,
Yeah.
thematically, like whatever way we can. And so we've been spending a lot of time, I'd say, over the last year just really trying to tighten up ship and really just bring the best, because we've been doing it for a long time and we don't want it to become boring for people.
Right.
Right.
And that's got to be interesting. Like, you know, you go back all the way back to, like, you know, 97, 98, you know, and you've got a record and you're touring on that record. And now you have this wealth of stuff. So it must be interesting to be able to tool sets and kind of really revisit that older stuff and the newer stuff. Like, is it a harder process to kind of juggle all that, or do you enjoy doing that?
The set list?
Yeah, kind of like
Dave does it, and I have been sitting there and hearing him say it, especially almost every time, like after a new record comes out, because then it's like, now what are we going to cut out? Like, we've been doing this for
That's
so
what I
long.
mean.
Yeah.
Now you got to cut like 4 or 5 songs out and put new ones in, and he's expressed that difficulty,
Yeah.
and it might take a few shows or a few tweaking here and there, but I think we get it right. I was gonna say earlier, we released 2 new songs recently.
Yes.
On
Yeah, I wanted to
Spotify.
talk about that.
Yeah, we put it out on Spotify.
That's awesome. Was that something that was just kind of cutting room floor from what you had, or was that just brand new material that kind of?
No, it was left over from the record, and then I mean, the business is different now. You can do things like that. Just put songs out on Spotify, and it's not like '98 anymore,
Right,
where
no.
you're touring on that record and
We don't have to make sure the cassette's in the
yeah,
stores.
cassettes in the store.
Exactly, right?
So yeah, we just put them out, and
That's
'cause we had
excellent. That's excellent. I mean, you guys make it hard on yourselves because every record you come out with has way too many hits on it, and then you have to come up with a set list that puts all those hits in there. I can't thank you guys enough for
Seriously,
sitting
thank
down
you.
and
no
talking
worries,
Yeah,
man.
with
We're
us.
happy to do it.
For real.
And mostly for having us here.
Yeah.
Seriously, this is such a nice break from
we're working, but it's
we work
it's
to the
great.
bone.
Yeah.
Like Jeff and I easily put in 60 hours a week doing what we do,
Because
and
we love this. We love this company.
we love it. And as you know, passion can definitely be a little bit exhausting sometimes. But something like this really puts everything in perspective and puts a fucking smile on my face.
Well, you know what? Death Wish Coffee really feels that passion.
And here's your money.
Yes, here's your money. Oh, God. Guys, love you guys. Thank
Yeah,
you so
thank
much.
you
Hey,
so
we're
much.
glad
Thank
you
you.
guys could come out, man. It means a lot.
Awesome.
Yes.
hopefully we'll be able to do the pool thing next year. Have you guys pour nice coffee
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
poolside in the
Yes.
afternoon.
Yes. Let's
I'm
make it
into it.
happen.
All right, cheers, guys. Thank you so much.
Excellent.
Thank you.
No, thank you.
This has been Fueled by Deathcast, a Death Wish Coffee Company podcast production. Thanks for listening.